Hey folks, if ChatGPT has been exciting you and you're starting to think about taxes into the financial year end, then this might be for you. If you want to see the demo, skip right to the end. This video is aimed at a business audience. If you want to discuss product or tech, then ping me separately. And also right now, this video is only India specific. It does not cover taxes for regions outside of India. So since earlier this week, I've been trying to figure out if GPT can be used to respond to tax notices from the Indian Income Tax Department. I'm specifically using GPT 3.5 Turbo API and feeding it context from the Indian Income Tax Act of 1961, along with subsequent amendments. Now, there are about 800 sections in all, including amendments, and there's a spider web of entanglements and cross references between these sections. This is quite a challenge, and it was not apparent to me at all right at the beginning. Now, superficially, it seems that ChatGPT is able to answer any and all of your queries about Indian income tax regulations. However, if you inspect closely, it suggests that GPT out of the box is quite overconfident and tends to hallucinate facts that don't really exist. At this point, the next obvious thing to do is to paste in the relevant context or laws into ChatGPT and then ask questions. If you've seen the original TaxGPT demo by Greg Brockman from OpenAI, then you will see that he's able to paste almost 20 pages of content into GPT-4 and ask questions. But unfortunately, as far as the Indian Income Tax Act is concerned or subsequent laws, that's easily thousands of pages. You have the Income Tax Act, Income Tax Rules, Finance Act, various other amendments, circulars, clarifications, landmark rulings, and much more. Now, you can't do all of that using Control-C and Control-V. You will just get tired of it. The other problem is that GPT's attention span at the moment is limited to 4,097 tokens at most. Now, that works out to about 3,000 words. That means you can't dump all of this information in one go into GPT and try to make any sense of it. We need to find a way to get GPT to take your question, figure out what parts of the underlying document pool is relevant to that question, pick only those out, supply them to GPT, get answers back from GPT, and then summarize all of that information. Now, this takes quite a bit of orchestration. I won't go into the tech or product here, but there are some amazing open source resources available if you want to work this out. And please email me. I'm happy to talk to you about my stack. Now, depending on the nature of your question, we want GPT to use a mix of knowledge that it already knows from previous training and knowledge that it has inferred from the documents that you are supplying to it. If you let GPT rely too much on past training, hallucinations will get you. I call that all play and no work. You're going to see a lot of lies. On the other hand, focusing your attention entirely on the narrow corpus of documents that you've provided GPT, that's effectively lobotomy. So what you really want to do is to balance the two carefully. All right, time to wake up. We're going to go see the demo now. So here is my tax GPT setup. I've currently set up two modes. There's a quick mode that allows GPT to rely on past training, and then there is a deep mode, which focuses attention almost entirely on the underlying corpus, and it takes much longer to run this process. So this is the first question. I'm just going to paste it in. I manufacture and export handicrafts. My materials are sourced from in and around Surat and Channapatna, but I source high quality packaging material from Jiangxi. Does section 10BA apply to me? First, going to use the quick mode to get an answer. Okay, Section 10BA of the Income Tax Act 1961 applies to undertakings that manufacture or produce eligible articles or things without the use of imported raw materials. As you are sourcing packaging material from Jiangxi, which is outside India, it can be considered as an imported raw material. Therefore, you may not be eligible for deduction under Section 10BA. However, you may still be eligible for other deductions under Income Tax Act, depending on the specific circumstances of your business. It is recommended that you consult with a tax professional for further guidance. So what has happened here is that TaxGPT has used the context of the Income Tax 1961, which was supplied to it. In addition, it has inferred from previous training that Jiangxi, a place from which material is being sourced, is outside India. Now let's switch to in-depth mode. This is going to take much longer. Okay, so as you can see, pretty much the same inference. So in this particular situation, it does not really matter whether you're going for a quick search or a quick answer or a deep answer, because it's a very straightforward question. It references a very particular article, and therefore, whether or not you go deep or quick, the answer is about the same. The second question is something that is much broader in scope. The question is, what sections of tax law talk about donations? As before, let's repeat with doing a quick check first. I've got section 80G, section 115 BBC, section 13B, and section 12. This is great. I've got a couple of answers. However, I can tell you that this is not exhaustive. So now this is a good candidate for going for the in-depth search. It makes sense to go for that. All right, so this time around though, we see section 80G, 115 BC, 13B, 12, 80G clause D, 80 GGA, and 35 and 35 AC being highlighted as all talking about donations, right? So you've got a much more in-depth answer. And I'm sure if we increase the depth of the search, we'll probably be able to pull out information from even other sections, which are mentioning donations in either a direct or indirect manner. Right, so this is a good example of something where we would like to take the depth up a couple of notches and do a deep search to get back an answer. Hey, thanks for watching. If you're interested in chatting more about this, you can either leave a comment on the video or reach out to me on email, hari.balaji@gmail.com.